Welcome back to CIA Declassified. Imagine you are a CIA pilot downed in the rugged mountains. You have no radio, no backup, and the enemy is closing in. Suddenly, a supply plane drops a crate the size of a large trunk. You open it to find a pile of rubberized fabric, a small 40 horsepower engine, and a hand pump. The instructions tell you to start pumping. 45 minutes later, you aren't looking at a raft, you're looking at a functional single-seat aircraft. This was the Goodyear Inflatoplane, funded by the Office of Naval Research and the CIA. It was a project born of the agency's obsession with exfiltration. If you couldn't land a plane to get someone out, you could send the plane to them in a box. The heart of the project was a revolutionary material developed by Goodyear called Airmat. Airmat consisted of 2 layers of rubber-coated nylon joined by thousands of drop-stitched threads. When inflated to just 7 psi, it became as rigid as a wooden plank. This allowed the plane to maintain its aerodynamic shape without a heavy internal metal frame. A quote from the Goodyear Aircraft Corporation Technical Brief GA447. The inflatoplane represents a radical departure from conventional airframe design. By utilizing internal air pressure as a primary structural element, we have achieved a power-to-weight ratio that allows for takeoffs from unprepared surfaces in under 250 feet, end quote. Another quote from the CIA Evaluation Memorandum from the Department of Science and Technologies. The portability of the unit is its primary asset. It can be transported in a standard Jeep or dropped via a D-type canister. However, the pilot's vulnerability to small arms fire is a significant concern, as a single puncture in the primary wing chamber could result in a catastrophic loss of lift, end quote. Testing the inflatoplane was not for the faint of heart. It was essentially a motorized balloon with a propeller. The plane had a top speed of 72 miles per hour and an endurance of about 6 hours. It was so light that a strong gust of wind could literally blow it off course while it was idling on the ground. There is significant speculation that the CIA conducted silent glide test. Historians theorize that the agency experimented with cutting the engine at high altitudes to see if the rubber airframe, which had a very low radar cross-section, could glide over Soviet radar installations undetected before restarting the engine in denied airspace. The inflatoplane went through several iterations, including the GA468, which could be inflated in about 5 minutes using a compressed air bottle. The CIA eventually ordered 12 prototypes for field evaluation. Speculation exists regarding the jungle drop. It is theorized that the CIA attempted to deploy an inflatoplane to an stay-behind agent in Laos during the early 1960s. The speculation suggests the agent was unable to find a clearing large enough for takeoff, and the aircraft was eventually burned to prevent capture, leaving only scorched rubber for the North Vietnamese to find. A quote from test pilot Richard Wolf, post-flight debrief. It flies more like a kite than a plane. You can feel the wing pulsing beneath you as the air pressure fluctuates. It's an unsettling sensation knowing that your only protection from a 2,000-foot drop is a layer of nylon and a few pounds of air. End quote. Many researchers speculate that the camouflage annex of the Goodyear files describes an attempt to coat the rubber in a light refracting paint. The theory is that the CIA wanted a chameleon plane that would be nearly invisible to the naked eye against a cloudy sky, a precursor to modern stealth visual masking technology. Tragedy struck the program during a military demonstration. A pilot named Lieutenant Pug Wallace was killed when a control cable became disconnected and the wing folded over the cockpit. This led to immediate safety concerns from the Pentagon, though the CIA remained interested in its disposable nature. There is a theory concerning the amphibious inflatoplane. Speculation suggests the CIA developed a version with a rubber hull that could be launched from the deck of a submerged submarine. The theory posits that the plane would be released in a waterproof pod, float to the surface, and be inflated by the pilot once they surfaced. A quote from the Director of Central Intelligence Internal Budget Review. While the inflatoplane offers unique exfiltration capabilities, the logistical burden of maintaining the rubber's integrity in tropical environments is proving prohibitive. The Airmat material degrades rapidly when exposed to prolonged UV radiation. End quote. There is intense speculation surrounding the Arctic Cache project. It is theorized that the CIA pre-positioned several inflated planes in pressurized, temperature-controlled canisters across the Alaskan and Greenland tundra. The speculation suggests that these were intended for use by Broken Arrow recovery teams, specialists tasked with retrieving or neutralizing downed nuclear assets in the high Arctic, where traditional landing strips were non-existent. A quote from a 1958 Naval Research Progress Report. Stability remains the primary hurdle. Due to the lack of rigid fuselage, the aircraft experiences significant twisting during high-speed maneuvers. We recommend strictly limiting the operational ceiling until a more stable internal bracing system can be devised using non-metallic tensioning wires. End quote. There is a final darker line of speculation involving the one-way trip. Some researchers believe the CIA investigated using the inflatoplane for chemical or biological delivery. The speculation is that the aircraft's extremely low radar signature and ability to fly at very low altitudes made it a candidate for a ghost drone, piloted or remote controlled, that could drift into an area, release a payload, and then be intentionally deflated over water to sink and disappear without a trace. The most heavily redacted section of the Goodyear files is the section titled, quote, Propulsion and Stealth Modification Annex, end quote. There is heavy speculation that these pages detail a silent propeller design. The theory is that the CIA was trying to develop a propeller made of the same rubberized material that could be folded flat for storage. Speculation suggests that they experimented with a low decibel engine muffled by a rubberized exhaust system to make the plane nearly silent from the ground. Further speculation suggests the redactions cover the self-destruct mechanism. This theory posits that the CIA installed a small incendiary device in the wing's inflation valve. If the pilot was forced to land, they could trigger a chemical reaction that would melt the entire aircraft into an unrecognizable puddle of goo within seconds, leaving no evidence of American technology. Was the Goodyear Inflatoplane a success? Technically, it was a marvel. It proved that you could build a flyable aircraft with almost no rigid parts. Operationally, however, it was a bridge too far. The risk to the pilot was too high, and the rise of the skyhook rescue system, which pulled people off the ground via a balloon and a specialized plane, made the inflatoplane redundant. The program was officially canceled in 1973. Only a few prototypes survive in museums today, looking more like pool toys than secret weapons of the Cold War. The rubber wing left a lasting mark on engineering, however. Technological breakthroughs, drop-stitch technology. The Airmat technology is the direct ancestor of modern high-pressure inflatable stand-up paddleboards and temporary emergency shelters. Deployable aerostructures. The research into folding wings influenced the development of modern Mars landers that use inflatable shields and landing bags. Materials science. The CIA's work on UV-resistant rubberized coatings paved the way for more durable survival gear and inflatable life rafts used by the Coast Guard today. The inflated plane remains one of the most visual reminders of the CIA's golden age of gadgetry, a time when no idea was too crazy and the sky was quite literally the limit, even if that limit was held together by 7 psi of air. Next time on CIA Declassified, we return to the labyrinth of the human mind. We examine Project Scribe. Based on declassified MK Ultra-linked files, we explore the agency's attempt to develop hypnotic courier protocols. We'll look at the secret experiments to ensure a messenger could carry a top-secret message in their subconscious, only able to recall it when triggered by a specific post-hypnotic cue, effectively creating a human safe that cannot be cracked by torture. Join us for the mental lockbox. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.